Hello and welcome to Lightways at Life Astrologer with me, Anna Isabel. And today I have Rod Chang with me. Hello, Rod.
Hi, Anna, how are you?
Very well. And well, you're here because I spotted that at the AA conference you
Mhm.
were talking about fixed stars. And I thought,
Yeah.
there's a good topic of conversation.
Yes, I think it's about the stars and the mythology, um, lure me, guide me into the astrology and maybe I would say spiritual. I don't know, maybe should I call it spiritual, but about self-development. And I always attract by the constellation and the mythology behind. So I couldn't avoid, or maybe my demon pushed me to there, or karma draw me to learn more about the stars, and I couldn't stop it. And the best things is when every time I need to, lost in something. I'm very happy to lost in the stars.
Well, quite right, too. So, when we talk about fixed stars, for people who are new to this subject,
Mm.
what are we talking about?
Okay, we are talking about those stars are not planet because we are talking if we're talking about the Mercury, Venus, Mars, Uranus, or even Chiron, they are either star, dwarf planet, or asteroid. They are in the solar system. When we talk about the stars, those shining tiny stars, they are in a far distance away from our solar system. They may be in the galaxy, in the Milky Way galaxy, or they may be in a galaxy far, far away in like Andromeda galaxy, or we have in the South Hemisphere we can look the Magellan Cloud. They have another galaxy there. So we are talking about those stars far, far away in the mythology. I don't want to say mythology, in the ancient Greek belief about the cosmos view, those stars are the outest, the most outer layer of the celestial sphere. And we're living the god, goddess, fairy, all the spirits, they living there, not around the earth. So they are represent a kind of spiritual or maybe holistic or maybe sacred energy or sacred character for us.
So, because obviously there is, it seems, an infinite number of stars.
Oh, definitely, yes.
If I stand outside my house and imagine that the lights were all off and I could see the sky clearly, the number of stars is infinite. So when we're talking about fixed stars, which stars are we talking about?
Nearly all of them. Okay, I will say if we can, but it is very interesting. Like you say, a couple days ago, I was trying to. There is a challenge about when you using the fixed stars in your chart. You either memorize your those alignment degree into the zodiac, or you may be like me. I don't have a very good memory. I have to have at least to help me to understand what degree they align. And I try to put them in the chart, the whole chart. You can imagine like that. So everywhere, every single degree, there's a stars. So if you want exactly, there is so many big stars, like a whole style of star, you can talk about it. Well, but I think if we have to select, I don't like it, but I have to because if not, there's endless, start to talk about. Well, usually you start with the bright one, those or no, those bright stars, and those have like a important, significant, especially in our culture and the history. Usually they are bright one, like most bright star series, or like Vega or Arcturus. Those are bright fixed star in the North Hemisphere because our culture still most emphasized in the North Hemisphere. So I would say how many? I would say maybe the basic number. You can start from the Benedict Brady's fixed star book. She notes 64. 60, even 64 of them. I still sometimes still think it's not enough. I want more, but that's because crazy people like me, love the fixed stars. So keep adding more. So in the 64 fixed stars, you pick up the zodiac constellation around the zodiac, and the 12 of them. Some of them have two or three, and then the other constellation, those important fixed star in our cultural history, and then so that is I think most people talking about is 64 or maybe something about around it, something about it.
So really what we're talking about is stars that our ancient ancestors spotted because they stood out from the others. So if we're looking at the whole, at all of the stars that we can see, it's the ones that stand out because they are brightest, and they are fixed because compared to planets they don't move.
Mhm.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so if we're looking at the brightest, but not all of them are of the same intensity, are they? They vary. Some are stronger than others.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Some stars they are much brighter. They could be because they are, their mass is huge, or they are more. Usually those are bright stars because they are close to our solar system, like Ceres or the like I think the Alpha Centauri. So those stars, they are very, they are very bright, but they are also very close to Earth, so we can see it. And also, I think there are some stars they are dim, but because in that same area, there's no other star can represent it. For example, if I have to choose a star to represent the Cancer constellation, it is very difficult because in that area, stars are not bright. Somehow you can easily ignore if you are do the observation of sky, and in the springtime, you will probably easily to ignore Cancer constellation because it's so dim. But if you want to choose one, you choose something like a brightest one in this constellation. That's still kind of a magnitude four or something in other constellation, they already be ignored.
So of the 64 or so that we regularly would use as astrologers,
Mhm.
are they all placed within the zodiac, within the constellations that represent
Ah,
the zodiac?
love this question. Love this question. I think this is the key because you notice when I say align rather than say conjunct. And I think maybe some astrologer who mostly influenced by Dr. Benedict Brady, we try to talk about the fixed star, especially in a 3D dimension. So yes, you are right. That's the key of the fixed stars. Not all the fixed stars along the ecliptic, along the zodiac belt. So like a pole, North Pole, pole star, it will be right up to the north rather than on the ecliptic. So when we measure it, we kind of drag that star from the North Pole coming down to the eclipse field and say, oh, you are aligned, or some people say conjunct. You are conjunct with a 28-degree Gemini. Okay, this is your address. So Benedict Brady say, if we look all the stars in that way, in the zodiac degree way, we are kind of ignore how tall is the building. We just this is the section of the number one avenue or something, and number two, number three, like that. But we ignore there is 3D dimension, there is a latitude and declination that also have to count into the fixed star. I think that's probably difficult for study the fixed star for astrologer or for beginner to study the fixed star because there is a 3D dimension and you have to understand the latitude relationship with the stars, stars, a period circle. Sometimes some fixed star will disappear from sky for a season, for months, for 3 months, and then reappeared. So so this kind of things is yes, indeed, an essential key of learning the fixed stars. You have to build up a 3D dimension of a map, or a whole sky. We use the whole sky rather than we only use the eclipse field.
So if I'm understanding correctly, and for those people who are new to this, it's not that they are necessarily part of particular constellations that we find along the ecliptic. It's that they align themselves with those constellations.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So because I think in one way is because most astrologer we using the zodiac degree for the Mars, for Sun, for the Moon. So we used to this kind of a measurement. But it is also unnecessary because, for example, it is very interesting, like a scientist, like a people, like those astronomer in NASA, when they measure the stars, sometimes they need to measure it from the Aries point, from the every year's Aries point, and when they give it a coordination, there is a coordination like we use in the ecliptic on the zodiac sign, but they just try not to call it Aries because they don't want to upset other scientists. So they call it 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degrees, 30 degree is our Taurus, 60 degree is our Gemini. That's it. They don't say it. They keep it very, very low key. But that is a way of a measurement of the sky is important. So there is a necessary to measure the stars in this way. Not only astrologer, even for scientists, they do it. So if you go to check the important software, like from NASA, they will give you, they sometimes can give you coordinate of the zodiac eclipse degree too. So yes, it is one way to measure it. Some astrologer, like I say, like a Benedict Brady or Christian Conning, try not to do it because they think we should not measure the star with the ecliptic wave. Like kind of we we take out their essence. And I somehow I agree. Somehow I agree. But in another way, I'm very Gemini. So in another way, when I do my case study, I still find that those ecliptic degree does speak to me particularly. So I couldn't avoid to use it.
Yes, and I guess some would argue that we sometimes need to be a bit practical, and when we're creating a chart, we need to see where things are.
Mm-hmm.
It's very tempting to then measure it in the way that astronomers are doing it.
Yeah.
Um, how did the ancients do it?
Well, how do the ancients do it? Well, in my knowledge, I think Benedict Brady talking about the Babylonian and Egyptian, they are using the whole sky, and they probably don't really attach it to the ecliptic zodiac degree. They don't. They're using the rising setting, heliacal rising, heliacal setting, or they maybe use it with a parent, like when you have a planet in middle heaven, but another star, suppose Regulus, is rising together with Mars. And so they use the coordinate, they use the parent system, the rising together, this type of thing. If I know in China, I think if my understanding is right, the Chinese ancient astrologer, they measure the star brightness compared with different time. Like yesterday, this star was quite bright, but today is dimmer. Maybe something going to happen. They use that way. So they observe the and also observe the would they be is there any shooting star like last couple of days they say shooting meteor shower, is there a shooting star across this region? What does that mean? They're trying to make prediction out of even the a a a a shooting star or a comet passed by a fixed star, they will explain. They will explain them, and that is, I think, my another specialty is a comet. That's why encourage me to explore a little bit more about using whole sky as a as my working with the fixed stars.
That's very interesting, because really what we're saying is that every detail was a nuance that they would have used. And yes, it's my last guest on this program was Christian Koenig,
Mm-hmm,
who who was talking exactly about that. So
mm-hmm.
it's interesting that you brought it up again. So okay, let's let's get down to business. We've got these
Yeah.
fixed which we use in astrology.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to be perceived to be somewhat fatalistic, in the way that they're used. How does that fit into, say, a modern psychological astrology model?
Okay. I it is very interesting. Yes, I think we have to understand the different time, different epoch, have a different view. And well, with people who use the fatalism or maybe simplify, let me say that, simplify method to interpretation the fixer, I think they were also happy to use the simplified method to interpret a chart. So if you want to interpret the big star with the modern psychological, you will love it. You will find richness of the mythology in the story of the big star background. Every constellation, like when I run the program with Christian Cronin, once a month we talk about one big stars. I will introduce people are familiar with Vivian Robson or Elspeth with Elspeth Epting. Their view is a little bit end of 19th century and early 20th century. So dog bodies, or cause death by the attack from the animal, or maybe the violent death or something. Well, yes, all these kind of things, and 90% of the stars are related to that. And I feel sorry, but I couldn't speak for them. But I have to defend it's not always likely. First, it's very interesting. There's a one point of view, one time, Ptolemy writing the fixed star with the planet quality, but he didn't give more detail of explanation. He just say this star is Mars Moon, that star is Jupiter Saturn, another star is Venus Saturn. And I think he didn't go further detail of interpretation, so people are confused. What does that mean? Well, I think today you can use it to make an interpretation. Sometimes I read the description of a Vivian Robson. He is exactly describing a Venus Saturn quality about a fixed star. But according him, then he will just like, oh, Saturn is bad, Venus is a woman. So you will probably have a bad relationship with woman, and then that's his simplified interpretation. What I think is I love you can use the mythology and the archetype. I think some astrologer in the United States they call themselves archetypal astrologer. I still don't know what does that mean. But archetype is the things we related to mythology and related to story. There's so many story in the Greek mythology. Like I always say, when you read Greek mythology, one thing, if you are astronomer, you will learn how to find the constellation because everything in the Greek mythology, they are related. So Andromeda with Perseus, with Cepheus, and with Cassiopeia, they are in the same area of sky. And the Cetus, the sea monster killed by the Perseus, is just underneath of the Perseus. So you can see, and the algo, the fixed star algo represent Medusa's head. Right, look into the Cetus. constellation. So that's how he killed the Cetus. Whole story may be just to help us to memorize the position of a constellation. Maybe not, maybe a little bit more.
Yes, oh yes, an interesting idea that this is that these stories actually help remember what's where in the sky. And I think yes, they can act as landmarks or mnemonics in a um, figuratively speaking. But I think they are so rich. The
Mm.
archetypes are so rich and speak so much of human experience
Mm-hmm.
that in fact it's a bit more than mapping out the sky. Um, Tempting though that thought is actually.
Yeah, yeah.
um, so I was just thinking about the you mentioned Algol there,
Mm-hmm.
and hard luck if you've got Algol conjunct uh, a, a part of your chart. How would you address that from a psychological astrology perspective?
Oh, okay. Yeah, lovely. I think this is what I think most modern astrologer, especially if like me or Christian Conley or even Benedict Brady, if we want to look the fixed star in a modern psychological or even like just a fatalist review, we have to give it another meaning and we have to start it. We have to go back to study the mythology behind. So we all looking in a different view. Like I think, keep it simple, Benedict Brady thinking is Algo is Medusa's head. So Medusa's story represent a kind of a primal female energy, but that is maybe, that high view. I like this idea. Well, but maybe for even upcoming generation, they want to know binary narrative. So they have to find out how to describe that chaotic and productive energy. Maybe they will say that rather than say primal female sexual energy. So so I think we probably will go through the story of a Medusa or even somehow Lilith. I think that the archetype of Lilith, Medusa, are related to Algo. This is the head represent Medusa's head. So or maybe when Medusa open her eyes, people are petrified. People are get stoned. So sometimes you have to try to find what attract you and what draw your attention. Then you go to do the case study. Somehow it could be like a take your breath away. It's not always bad thing because we say something amazing and beautiful and take your breath away. So, it's very interesting and you choose what you want to interpret it, but we do a little bit more study. So far, I think Algo have that really a little bit amazing but a scary quality in, in its nature because it's I think it's a triplet of people saying corporate star over each other. And sometimes the dim star eclipse the bright star. So it's like when it gets dim, few hours after it gets bright, and then you say he's a devil's blink. Devil is blink at you. So people are scared, especially if related to Medusa. So these stars, I would say, I agree. Medusa's story is about about the female energy and is about the female productive energy. But there is a deepest fear, and also the subconscious, like kind of a little bit crisis type thing in
I think
there.
there is. I think there's more though too, because you know, Medusa wasn't always like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the process by which this happened with her, because this essentially is a curse that's put upon her.
Yes.
And what happened was not her fault. It was Poseidon who dragged her
Yeah.
in the
Indeed.
and desecrated it basically through having his way with her. She didn't really have a lot of say in this. So there's that
So
sense of powerlessness there. It's almost a
yeah,
perception story. And there's that sense of powerlessness. And then there's this curse that's put on her by a female goddess, it has to be said.
indeed.
And why? Why would she do that? Oh, because it was a desecration of
Hmm.
her temple.
Hmm.
And funnily enough, Poseidon gets off scot-free, and
Yeah.
this young woman gets into this monster, which basically means that she's cut off from love because
Hmm.
she can never be close to anyone again. Because
Yeah.
anyone who gets close to her, well, hey, sorry, hard luck, you're going to be turned into stone. So I don't know that this is so much just about, or it's very tempting to see it as female primal energy, but maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's about outrage as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I share the same view. When I started the story, I say, how could we just see it from the sexual way? And also, I was thinking, oh yes, I mean, we all allowed to interpret the story in a different way, and because the story, our archetype is focused on Medusa. So if that draw your attention, maybe we should go to exam and try to find the example and about those people who related to algo have this kind. Maybe it's a scapegoat because she's definitely a scapegoat type. Poor ladies, and it's not her fault. Maybe it's like a someone who been blamed for things she hasn't done. And that could be another character of the algo. And that's why we need more people jump into the big stars because it's, I think that our world is not just, one voice, like Benedict Brady studied seriously for so many years. But she has her point of view and she has somehow something she focuses on, but we are allowed to have a different view. Like in the story you say, I did wondering, and then I've been dragged away. I was focused on the petrified, the story about the people stunning. So I was creating my own interpretation from the story, but different line and different aspects. But I think you are right. Definitely, you are right because there is a lot of, I think, what should I say? There's a what I couldn't probably couldn't find the word, but there is a someone take the blame on a poor girls and then take the blame into that story. So could that means an archetype of maybe being witch hunt or misunderstood. What's the
I
simple way to say that?
exactly. Actually, the word misunderstood is something that is a word that cropped into my mind when I was listening
Mm,
to,
mm-hmm.
because yeah, it's that it's being punished for something
Yeah.
that wasn't your fault. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it's a very, and you use the word scapegoat, which I think actually could also apply here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
which actually, I think, yes, I think those are very interesting interpretations.
Uh,
So if you've got, and I think I've picked Algol because Algol's been on my mind a lot lately,
mm-hmm.
but it's one of many that if you're looking at the classical astrology texts like William Lilly,
Mm-hmm.
the minute those stars crop up, it's like that's it, doom, done.
Yeah. Like a most evil star in the
It's
sky
those
or
evil stars.
something.
So you're looking
But
at this and you're thinking, okay, so this is one of many, but what we're showing is by choosing one as an example is that the story is much more nuanced. And if we're looking at it from a psychological astrology perspective, that could be quite different from looking at it from an horary perspective, which is, of course, where William Lilly comes in
yeah.
because that's his craft. But if we're psychological astrologers, what do we do with these? And I think what we are illustrating here today, you and I, just by looking at one story,
Mm-hmm.
is the richness of the interpretation that's available.
Yes, yes, and it because the stars, and also I want to I want to say it's not only Greek Roman mythology. You can really go to the mythology, the story you are familiar with, and you maybe go to another thing attract me is the South Pacific Maoris mythology. They use the fixed star a lot, and they have few bright star mythology as attract me, and I want to study them. But should I give you an example because what we're talking about, and you will just like wow, because we know when Hollywood movie stars who has the I think is a Venus aligned with Algo, Johnny Depp, and then now we see his story. Also, his ex-wife, I think Amber Heard, who also share the same Venus degree at 25 Taurus. They both have Venus conjunct and the Venus aligned with Algo. And look their story on the social media, how we read them. In the beginning, would be the Johnny Depp who be misunderstood, maybe, or maybe he did, or he didn't. We don't know. We really don't know. I don't want to jump one side. It's until today, I still don't want to say he would be the innocent. I'm not sure. But there is, like we talking about misunderstood there. Maybe they misunderstood each other's love. Their love is so powerful to each other that they couldn't digest it. I don't know. But when you read the story on the media, they both declare they've been misunderstood. They've been witch hunt. Like Johnny Depp lost a lot of a job opportunity, and now it's Amber Heard's turn. People don't want to approach her like she's terrifying everyone, and she does have that, Medusa's quality. To be honest, when you look everything, and people which keep saying she is terrible and she is nasty or something. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to judge because I'm not one of them, so I don't need to be judged. But I just say this quality doesn't just say they are evil. This quality tell us maybe there's a misunderstood quality there, and like you just, I think we hardly hear people talking about algo related to misunderstood and maybe like a scapegoat something. There's only I think we only discuss. We're trying to find something today, but look at the Johnny Depp story. That is fit into our interpretation.
That's very interesting because in a sense, irrespective of whose version of reality is
Yeah,
closest to objective reality, irrespective of that,
yeah,
what you have here is two people basically accusing each other of being victimized
mm,
by the other.
yeah,
So, and here we are outside thinking, well, who's the victim and who's the perpetrator? We're not sure. And
mm-hmm.
that does seem to be Medusa's story in a sense, because
Yes,
she's innocent, apparently.
mm-hmm.
Maybe she isn't. Maybe Poseidon didn't have to try very hard to persuade her to
Mm-hmm.
the temple.
Yeah,
Um, maybe 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 she's not as innocent as she looks. We don't know. It just seems that way because
mm.
after all, one is a god and the other one isn't. You
Yeah,
know, so who's got the power here? And I think that this is it, isn't it? It's about that sense of powerlessness, and
mm-hmm. Yeah,
then having something happen to you as a result of that powerlessness and going never again.
yeah.
And so yeah, very it's so this is a very I think thoughtful way of using the fixed stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like every other, working as an astrologer with my clients, with my students, constantly I am reminding them of the story because the story is the heart of everything. And so these are the stories that are playing out in our lives in a myriad of different ways, and we need to understand them so that we can come to grips with them. And I guess make the most of the energy that's within us and rise above. That's what I wanted to, the expression I wanted, rise above
Mm-hmm.
the inherent challenges and not get stuck in one view of things.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you because when we start to use the fixed stars, we are already trying to jump outside of the box, the boundary of ecliptic, and we are trying to think from other view or outside of box. So why are we going to take? Well, some people always choose the tool they like and the interpretation they like. So some people choose the simple one. There's no problem. Work for them. And some people like you and I, we probably want a little bit more story, and we love those archetype and the story. It helps us, you and I, ourselves, and also our client, our student. So that would be fit into, the fixed star will really help us because they bring the reach of the whole sky. You are not just focused on the ecliptic belt, and you have all the story you can tell from all around the world, and somehow you will find um their constantly they have a similarity. They have a similarity into different culture, and you will just like I don't know what to say, but it is a very interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting is, I think, an understatement. I think fascinating, if, well, at least for you and me. And speaking as somebody who used to be a storyteller
Yeah. Yeah.
of stories, there's never enough. So, Rod, thank you so much for this wonderful, insightful um, glimpse of how we could use the fixed stars more creatively in our work. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I learned so much from you. Like today, we kind of working together discover another side of August's story, and it fit into narrative. So I say, hey, we should do this, more. We should kind of try to look the mythology and the star in a different way. It gives us
I
more freedom.
I think future collaborations call.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yes.
Oh,
Thank you for
Rod,
having me.
thank you. Now, if people want to find out more about your work, how do they do that?
Oh well, I have my website also rodchang.com, and also I do run like on the YouTube AOA UK 1 channel. So every month I talk about one fixed stars with Christian Conning, and we continue doing that. And then I will try to do more because I really love stars, and then I'm trying to experiment a different way to see the stars, and then I'm very happy to share. If I have something discover or some idea, I always just like I can't wait. I have to tell everyone.
Well, I will be putting a link to your website in the description box, but it would be good to have the link to
Yeah,
your channel as well so that people can
sure.
enjoy
Yeah.
discover more fixed stars with you. Thank you so much for your time
Thank you,
today.
Anna. Thank you.
And just a reminder to everyone that I believe the AA has recordings of all the different talks from the
Yes,
conference, which would
yes,
include yours. I'll be putting a link to that in
sure.
the box as well. So if people want to hear your talk, they can certainly do that.
Yeah, thank you. I will send you a link later. Yes.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And thank you all for watching. Next time, we're looking at ascendants. Until then, goodbye.
Bye bye.